Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yep. What's going on, everyone? Welcome to this week's episode of Rivercity 93. I'm your host, as always, Elliot Barr. And joining me on today's show, we have a full house for the first time in a long time, especially when we play Far to Pie. Okay, I just want you to know, off rip, that name will forever be stuck in my head now, calling them Far to Pie. I just want to thank you for that.
I don't know who originated it, but it's simple. It's easy to remember. It rolls off the tongue. I mean, we don't need to hire a consultant to come up with great names.
Yeah, this is true. This is also true. But with that being said, we have Kate joining us tonight, and also we have Matt. How are you doing, sir?
Doing okay. It's we're on an unbeaten home run. Gotta love it.
We are. The road form is
Oh, well, we're not worried about that right
now. But hey, we haven't lost a home game in the month of August. Is that correct? It's the month of August. Yay! Look at us, slowly but surely improving. The goal of not finishing with the wooden spoon is working. We got close because Cosmos all decided they wanted to play good soccer, so that was being scary. But whatever. That was a little scary.
What's the opposite of iron sharpens iron?
Because
that's what the battle at the bottom of the table is going to be.
Right. Just doll versus doll.
Clay softens clay.
Yeah, there you go. That's how it should be. But yeah, man, we got a lot to talk about. Obviously, if you don't know, the Richmond Kickers got a 1-1 draw against Portland Horse of Pine. We're going to talk about that, talk about some of the things that we saw in the match, some interesting things as well. Maybe a possible handball in the box, who knows? Also talk about what's the outlook coming up with the upcoming Derby on the 29th and a game against Fort Wayne. So for starters, let's talk about it. 1-1 draw against Portland Hearts of Pine. Brian Obi had two surprising lineup changes. No Dak in the lineup and also no Sean Vinberg. If you didn't know, Sean is getting married. So congratulations to him. His wife is from Romania. I believe the wedding is in Romania. So blessings to them. Wishing them the best there. But in their replacement, if you want to say, Becca Howe stepped in, and also Ali Sasaka makes his long-awaited return to the starting 11. So, Kate, I'll start off with you. What was your thoughts on the lineup and the opening of the game so far?
Obviously, it's huge to see Ali back. He brings, Matt and I were discussing last week, maybe some of the physical shortcomings of the team in a couple areas, and height is definitely one of them. So his physical presence is he's kind of irreplaceable in that sense. So it's really helpful to have him on the pitch, and he's great with he's one of our most comfortable on the ball players. So he just makes the team better for being in it. So really relieved that he was back, especially since they didn't have Ollie Wright in their team. So felt like that was at least one edge we had, was a little bit more defensive stability when they were lacking maybe their heaviest hitter up top. But otherwise, I don't know. I think we've been seeing a little bit this Ownby willingness to drop players based on performance. He doesn't care who you are. He doesn't care your seniority. He doesn't care your tenure. He's willing to make changes, and that, I mean, Ali would be my first choice in that position anyway, but interesting to see who got dropped in that context.
Yeah. Matt?
I think that the thing that kind of stood out to me is I think we kind of already knew that Beckett was, CB3, on the team at this point. This really kind of solidified it for me. And this is my, a little thing here, but I went back and looked at, kind of the team pregame photo and everything. I don't know if he just got a different haircut or what the deal is, but in the photo, he's actually starting to look like a grown man in there in those photos rather than like a noticeable like young guy around a bunch of older guys. So kind of growing into his body, and I think that's showing on the field too. Like I think he's performing better and better each week. I thought he had a good game back there as a central defender. Obviously still room to grow, but I'm not worried if Beck's back there right now.
Yeah, he did very well. From the start, to look very strong in a lot of parts of it. Seemed comfortable out there. I think, Matt, I know you talked about this before with Beckett, but do you think center back is his natural position, like where he just fits in? Because left back always felt like a square peg in a round hole.
Yeah, I think his skill sets fit better for center back in the long run. Whether that's center back in a four or like center back or left center back in a 5 or a 3, depending on how you like to look at it. Uh, playing wide, I get it. That's kind of where a lot of teams will put young guys at first because a little bit further away from goal. If you make a mistake, it's not as immediately detrimental.
Yeah.
So like the defense part was always fine. It was kind of the getting forward part that always looked a little mechanical. Coming out of back, like he would put in the effort, he would try, but it didn't seem to come as naturally for him as it does for Hansen, for instance, or any of the left backs we've had in the past, Maxey, Hornsby, Scotty Thompson, any of those guys where they were more natural left backs.
Yeah, no, he definitely feels a benefit there. I'm gonna pivot real quick about the game and talk about the off-field stuff. I don't know about y'all, but in the stadium itself, it felt like a more charged atmosphere. Now, granted, there was a larger contingent of away fans than normal at USL games because travel in this league for fans sucks.
Merch FC gets around.
Hey, they're
not necessarily traveling. They're not necessarily traveling. They might be hitting order on an online shop, but they're not necessarily traveling from anywhere to be there. Not all of them, but a number of them are not necessarily traveling to be at the game.
Right. So I want to ask you guys this. Like, I know when I was sitting there, I felt like, oh, we have to win this game. Because I refused to have that many Portland fans show up and then outdo us at the game. And there was also a point where, like, I know us, we're a little slow coming into the stadium from the tailgate, right? And we're a little slow getting the chant started, right? And also, like, the way how the seasons go, people take their time a little bit more than usual. But it was like, as soon as Portland started doing that little Hearts chant, I don't know what it was, but it was like
the Iceland chant that they stole.
But it was like everyone in Section O, I don't know what it was. Everyone got pissed and was like, "Oh yeah, no, we're not doing it." But
well, I mean, luckily for us, they sat quietly for most of the game because I guess they didn't feel like they needed to do much more than that, unlike us when we went up there.
Okay, but yeah, I want to ask you guys this: like, does that, for a player perspective, like, if you have that big contingent of away fans, I think those are always kind of the more memorable games. Like I think about like the Henny Derby when the Madison fans come down, or I'm trying to think, like what was another big fan base that came down, or like Loudly United. Like those games always seem to stick out just because like you could tell like, oh, this is like a bigger game than usual. What's your guys' thoughts on it?
I mean, it's always more fun. You have the back and forth, right? Like you think, like big time college football games, or something where it's a little more like European style where you've got the actual like technically assigned away sections, although it's not exactly hard to get seats outside of those if you either know what you're doing or you're willing to pay the money for it. But those are always a good time. I've been to some of those, and whether it's large organized stuff like that or just Kickers Road trips where there's anywhere from a handful to a couple dozen people there, it feels different. It's there's a little bit extra fun energy that comes from being the away fan, and I think it does spark the home crowd to maybe dial up a little bit more.
Yeah.
My big takeaway is maybe people actually get into the stadium before the 10th minute moving forward. That'd be cool.
Yes. Yeah, look, I'm putting the PSA out there. Next week is the Henny Derby. I need everyone to be in the stadium 15 minutes before, not even 15, I'll put it 10 minutes before kickoff so we can build this atmosphere. Like, I refuse, like, yeah. But I understand your point. Yes. We got to get in there at least 10 minutes prior to, not 10 minutes after.
Yeah. I don't know why the camera was our op and decided to put the camera on the section before everyone came in and made us look worse than we needed to.
I mean, the game had already started at that point, so it's a little hard to dodge it.
Yeah. I feel like
Especially
everyone was
when
still like buying their beers, walking around, getting food.
especially
like,
within
the
the first
kids
30 seconds, we get the ball into their penalty area, on our side. You're right there. It's kind of hard to dodge the crowd shot at that point.
Talking about like the start of this game, how impressed are you with how the Kickers started this game off on the offensive foot? It felt like Brian Army had a game plan of like, we are what we are, but we're going to at least put some kind of effort into attacking. Like, what, Matt? I'm going to start with you. Like, how did you like the start of the game? How did you like how the Kickers were in the final third?
I think it's the same sort of thing we're really started to see as being the OB hallmark. Like, we're going to be aggressive. The kickoff's not thank God the kickoff's not that stupid ass.
Oh
Just
my
get the ball
God, I
really
was just
high
thinking that too.
into the middle of the field for no good reason. Like, I don't like it. I can understand the big fancy teams doing the okay, let's kick it into the corner flag and you try to pin them in that way. I can understand that strategy. I don't understand what we were trying to do with the kick it high down the middle piece.
No.
But yeah, we had the ball on Kirkland's foot inside the penalty area within the first 30 seconds. That's great. I mean, nothing came of it, but who cares? That's good. It's kind of showing a little bit of statement of intent right from the get go. We saw Darwin first half, probably 3 different times he was able to get a shot off from anywhere from 18 to 25 yards out. He forced a couple okay to decent saves out of those. I mean, he's skied a couple too. That's going to happen when you take those shots. But again, it's not being afraid to take your looks, not being afraid to see what happens in that end of the field. We'll come back to that later on. But in that end of the field, be a little bit of a risk taker. Roll the dice because sometimes good things happen when you roll the dice.
Yeah. Okay, is that? I'm gonna ask you this question, but like, is that the biggest difference between what we saw at the start of this year with the Darren team to the Naomi team? Is just the intent of going forward early in games and not just willingness to be like, oh, hey, we take a shot here, a shot there. It's just the willing intent to keep going over and over again, even though it's not coming off.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things that we talked about for years was how it felt like they were trying to walk the ball into the net. Like, no one actually took the shot. They'd get into the final third, and then it would turn into this pass around the box over and over, and no one was just ripping one. So even the simple fact that shots are being taken is an upgrade because it shows at least a level of competence and initiative, which often for long stretches, it felt like we wouldn't see. Like, if we weren't getting the perfect ball walked right into the middle of the 6-yard box, like, no one was going to end up taking a shot from distance. Mm-hmm. And even though this match, none of them came off, we've seen decent goals from distance this year. So I think that's just that willingness. We'd see it in flashes under Darren, like when things got really, really, really bad, then maybe there'd be a quick patch where we'd see some shots from distance. But that's definitely, that makes the game more exciting too. It makes it more interesting to watch. Like, it feels like the players are backing themselves. And there was the amount of blocked shots, not just from the keeper, but the ball was bobbling around in the 6-yard box, because also when you take a shot, you create a little bit of unpredictability. You put a little bit of an X factor into the defending where you're creating 50-50 balls in the box, giving yourself a chance. So yeah, just not a sense of like perfection. And I think we got the perfect contrast because Portland are currently playing Darren ball. So we got to see what we've been living through and why that style of play is often very unsatisfying to watch as a supporter of that team, and how much stress I imagine it causes when now you've sat back and you're just waiting, hoping to fend off the other team from scoring.
Yeah, it definitely felt like there was an intent from Owen to be like, hey, look, like Portland's under a lot of pressure, and they regularly are. Like, I don't know if other people have been paying attention to or seeing like the clips of the Portland post-game interviews, but their head coach is very famous for throwing their players under the bus if something doesn't go right. So it felt like, this pressure's building on this team. Like, they have to get it right. And it felt like Obi things was like, look, guys, the pressure's not on us. Like, go out here, take some shots. Like, Darwin, we know Darwin now is going to, if he has the opportunity in front of the box, he's going to take it. Right? But I was also even impressed with, like, O'Malley. Like, I know he was your dartboard starting the year off. What have you seen in him that has impressed you the most so far and since Obi's been head coach? Because I go back to the Cosmo game, even the AV Alta game, like, he's done a better job of driving the ball forward, looking for passes, even showing a little bit of skill here and there.
Yeah, like, I think, for one, he's gotten a lot smarter about using his gimmick of being the guy who picks up fouls and the guy who commits fouls. Like, he's gotten a lot more judicious about when he employs that, because that's when we were seeing him in those first run of games. I mean, he was hitting the deck every 5 minutes, like, and completely breaking up the flow. And you're going to turn into Emmy at that rate. No one's going to buy what you're selling. So I think, especially in the last month, he's kept his feet a lot more. He's gotten a lot more judicious about when he goes down. And he's still earning the fouls when he does. He's still committing those fouls, but it's also been useful because it doesn't feel like we have someone else in the team doing that kind of dirty work. So I don't know. It just feels like his decision-making has gotten better, and he's learned to trust, or he's learned to actually rely more on his talent and skill, which he has, and is beginning to show more and more than he did at the beginning of the season, where it felt like he took his job as like the role player, as like the foul committer and the foul earner a little too far, where it made games a little uglier than they needed to be. And he's reined that back in, and he's actually playing cleaner, better football. And it's a lot more enjoyable to watch, and he's contributing a lot more.
Yeah, for real. Matt, Hayden Anderson, someone who he had a rough game against Junior Omaha, him and Sam Layton, right? How do you think their performances were? Like, in the first half and second half, like, we saw how they were playing, and I know you were a little frustrated with Sam with the Hollywood passes that he was making at first.
Yeah, I'll start with Hayden. I think this is a good matchup, for him, because he's more kind of an energy guy. He's not going to be like a bomber, from the right back spot, but he can be able to contribute and press forward. Like, the number of times he was able to step into the midfield, intercept a pass, and be able to kind of start a counterattack in some level. Like, he's got good enough ball skills that he can be able to do that, and he's not a defender where he gets in and he's like, okay, crap, let me find Ollie, or let me find somebody real quick to give them the ball so that way they can make the passes. No, he can be able to carry, progress it forward, and be able to get the ball to a Darwin or a Freeman or whomever he needs to get the ball to at that point. So I thought he was quite solid. He had a few critical tackles that he made in this game. So I think this was a look at what the really good version of Hayden can be, as a right back. Sam Layden, I don't know if he's secretly on the Portland payroll or what, but this is 2 times this year now that he has basically handed them a goal.
This is true. That is true. Like, I don't know what it is, man. I wonder if he looks at Portland and be like, all right, this is the game where I know everyone's watching, so let me try something new. It is like, so you have never practiced this before. What are you doing?
Yeah, I mean, you watch that the replay of that goal back, and there's no reason that should ever happen. It's coming straight off of a goal kick. Yann plays the ball to him, and for the life of me, I have no idea where he's trying to pass the ball. You can't even see Kickers player in the shot when it gets intercepted, and then all of a sudden Portland right down our throat with like a 4v2. There's nothing that Beckett and I guess it was probably Ali there could really be able to do, because that's a training exercise
Yeah.
at that point. And yeah, they put a pass or two together, and the Obi lookalike guy nice finish at the end, puts it off the post.
Yeah.
And then but I mean, too easy. Like, it's back to the thing that's kind of plagued this team is, more often than not, they're their own worst enemy.
Yeah.
Especially the defenders. We saw it start to come out a little bit against Omaha. I thought most of that was due to just being out athleted by them. But even in that game, there were a couple times where we saw Sam just chasing back Omaha runner and couldn't do anything about it. I mean, obviously there's the Vandenberg own goal, and there's a lot bad there, and this was just kind of a microcosm of it doesn't have to be pretty, it has to be effective. And when it's not effective, it's definitely not pretty.
You know what Sam reminds me of? And it's kind of like, you guys might agree with me, might not. But you remember when Ani was just starting to become like the second center back on our team? Not the year where we were like, oh, Ani's like defender of the year, but he was like the second center back. And there will always be a moment where like Ani would do something, you just sit there and scratch your head and be like, what was he thinking? But then like a couple of minutes later, he would do something and be like, I see why he's the starter. That's what it feels like Sam Lane is at. Like, it feels like Sam has had so many of these up and down moments, like these roller coaster moments, where there's been games where it's like, oh, Sam is definitively like our best defender. And then you mentioned, Matt, like the Portland game or the Fort Wayne game where, his passing is a little erratic, is all over the place. He gets in these quicksand moments, and the mistakes start to compound on each other. I think the next step for Sam is just kind of just being consistent. Like, it's okay to just do simple. Because it felt like a lot of this game where it was like, I felt like Obi told the team, like, hey, I want you to break lines of passes. And Sam was just like, he just heard break. Like, he didn't hear anything else after that. It was just break. And it was just like, all right, go. Like, every time I get the ball on my foot, I'm going to just try to, like, make, like, pass the ball through, like, 5 people.
Yeah, I mean, that's fine. You can't miss short on those if you're a defender.
Yeah,
miss long, fine, whatever. Goes back, they cycle it on their half, or goes out for a throw. Who cares? Necessarily, but when you miss short, you got some emergency defending to do, and it didn't work out.
No, it didn't. It didn't work out. But to recover. Other defender back there. Here, is it okay? Kate, we had to discuss yesterday. Are we calling him Kofi or Harold?
He's going to have to come out and tell us definitively which one he's going by, because he was signed as Harold, but his Instagram says Kofi. So which is the truth?
Hanson it is. All right.
Professionally Harold and personally Kofi? Like, is this like a stage name situation?
This is what I signed on my taxes, and this is what I play by. I'm not gonna lie. He had a couple of spicy moments in this game. I think about the tackle in the first half on the opposite end where him and I think JT Kamara got into it, where I think JT tackled him late. Then on the second half on our side where I think it was I can't remember his name, their captain. And Harold slide tackled him, and then Amar followed up with another tackle. But I'm not gonna lie, like, if one thing has happened, Omi has brought in a guy that has brought a level of intensity to this team that wasn't there before. It's definitely in that left back spot.
Yeah, my favorite part is, if you're down, if you're trying to simulate something on him, our boy Hanson is going to lean right over and tell you to get the F up.
He is.
And, he's not going to stand for it. He will jaw right back at you.
I'm not gonna lie, man. I feel like that's been missing from this defensive unit for a while, man. Like, it just felt like anything that would happen. I just vividly remember the Forward Madison game about how this team was so concerned about going at the ref and not like focusing about the Forward Madison players, about like, you know, putting a stamp on them. And like for the longest, we just didn't have a player who felt like, yo, you're not about to do this. You know, like if you go take a chunk out of us, I'm gonna take a chunk out of you. Right. And he felt like he teeters that line. Like, I don't think he got a yellow card because I think all the yellow cards were on us, but I don't think he picked up one. I could be mistaken. But it felt as if like he did enough that where he didn't cross that line to where the ref is like, your next tackle's a red card. You get what I'm saying? Like,
he did not pick up a yellow.
Yeah. Okay. There you go. There we go. So yeah, it felt very good there. Midfield wise, Ali was back in there. We also saw Austin Amir. I think he made his long awaited return. Was he in there in the Omaha game?
He's been around.
Well, I'm saying, like, did he play in the Omaha game? I can't really remember.
I'm sure he came in as a sub during the nonsense.
Okay. I've, as you can tell, I have blinked that game from my memory. But Ollie's return to the sideline, I'm not gonna lie, I felt like he's been a big missing part for this team. And it felt like this team's form has gone when he has started. Like when he was starting, we were clicking, you know, it wasn't always there, but we were trending. And then the moment he went out, this midfield just been exposed and open. But he looked so comfortable. Like he was able to, there were so many moments where I think about where he was able to get on the ball, evade pressure, and like maybe go for like a 6-7 yard run and just lay the ball off to somebody, and then that will open up space for them. And I feel like that's a skill set that no one else in the Kickers midfield has, where they can, we have someone that can evade pressure, but then they can't make the pass. Or they can't evade pressure, but they can make the pass, right? Over and over again, he was just able to do it over and over and over again. Where it got to a point where Portland was just like, all right, we're not going to press this man anymore. Like, just drop off and press the people that he's going to make the pass to.
Yeah, I think there's still some adjustment to be made, you know, with Ali there, because before he was, you know, kind of the holding man in the three in the midfield, and you know now it's kind of a, you know, it depends how you want to, you know, look at, you know, the O'Malley role, but it's, you know, kind of a 2 in the central, you know, midfield. So you know Ali's going to, you know, be asked to do a little bit more with the possession, you know, piece, you know, of it. So I think there's still some development that, you know, he has with, you know, being able to, you know, quickly, you know, get the head up and, you know, be able to exploit the space. Because he definitely was one of those guys where it was, all right, you know, be a destroyer and, you know, get the ball to other midfielder and, you know, kind of let them, you know, do the advancing. I think he's capable of being able to pick that up, but it is a little bit different of a role that he's playing now than, you know, he was, you know, back in, you know, the old, you know, regime. So just something to kind of watch out for. It's not a perfect like for like with Ali's return, and there might be a couple of growing pains as he just kind of, you know, tweaks his game for it. But I've every reason to think that he'll be able to make those tweaks.
Yeah. Anyone else in the midfield impressed y'all or stood out to y'all in this game? Any little things that y'all caught up to?
Let me check the structure again, because I've been wanting to say, I also continue to be impressed by Matt Boldock. You know, he might be an ancient old man at this point, but you wouldn't know it based on the effort he's putting in. I'm kidding. But to go from out on the outs with your manager to the point where you're not re-signed to 2 25-day contracts back to back to now being a true floor raiser for the team, I think just has really spoken to his commitment to keeping his own level high, even when he wasn't playing at all. And the fact that, you know, he's been able to come in relatively rusty compared to basically everyone else in the team and earn that starting spot and make the team better and create so much chaos and add something that we hadn't had. I think it's been really fun to see him back.
Okay. Yeah. It has been. I mean, you talk about a guy that very notoriously, like I remember doing that episode with him where it was like, yeah, I'm leaving, you know, He goes to Flower City, has some success there, comes back. It felt like Darren kind of loved him, but didn't really. Let him go. He goes to Sarasota. I think he scored in Sarasota.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he did. Yeah, scored there. Didn't get re-signed. Comes to Richmond.
It was only a 25-day contract. They only used him for.
He's made it work.
Mhm.
And he scored on the day where we found out he got a contract for the rest of the year. So I mean, look, at this point, Matt is a Richmond legend. I mean, he's playing for the RBA team. He definitely is. But he has definitely been a floor raiser, like you said, Kate. Matt, anyone for you that stood out also in this game for you?
No, it's going to be the same one I was going to say. And I think it's nice to have kind of a veteran presence who's been around the club that can kind of be able to let guys know like, hey, this isn't how we do stuff here, and a veteran of the USL leagues that I'm guessing a little bit here that Omi can lean on from time to time, because there's something to be said for guys who have been through it and have seen the ups and the downs and the grind that it takes. So
Yeah. Real quick, let's talk about the goal that we did score. That for the longest, it seemed like we were knocking our door. Even hit the post. Portland's goalkeeper seemed to be standing on his head.
Denied a handball in the box for a penalty.
All right, yeah, Kate, let's go ahead. Let's talk about this overall feeling. Right before, what was it? Right before Portland scored, matter of fact.
Yep.
It seemed like there was a tackle in the box, then there was also a handball. Ball gives up the field. There's a 50-50 challenge. The ref deems that is Portland's ball. And then from there, Richmond commits, the bad pass that leads to Portland's turnover. But do we think it was a handball? Do we think it was were the Kickers robbed of an opportunity of taking a PK here? That was what I'm trying to ask.
I mean, yes.
All right, cool, fair enough.
I've said this multiple times. Officials at this level seem to think not making a call is not influencing the outcome of the match. They just especially ARs. The AR had a better view of it maybe than the center. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm not going to complain about it.
There's a reluctance to influence.
Yeah.
I find it hard to believe that the AR would have had a better view of that, seeing just how many bodies were mixed in there, and it was kind of dead center. Based on what I could tell in the replay, I couldn't tell if it was or not in real time, and basically the same view as they are. So I'm not going to throw him under the bus. The replay definitely looks a little bit more worse than it did in real time.
Yeah,
I would have happily taken it, but I kind of get it.
Man. If only if there was a system in place where you can challenge a call or have some kind of virtual.
Have you seen the quality of some of these broadcasts that we've watched in this league over the years? Do you think that you want to go to those cameras to get some help?
Banana is famous for pulling out his iPhone and going back to YouTube stream. Going back to that USB Plus screen and be like, I'm just saying, we can get an iPad from Walmart, hook it up to the Kickers Wi-Fi, and you can make it work. You can make it work. Don't got to be perfect. We're not like.
I understand this is still the same organization on their graphics. Half the time, have Darren Sawatsky as our coach.
Yeah, this is true.
And constantly think that there's nobody injured.
Luckily, the saviors of our league, Prinks Tires, are coming through to give us experimental VAR. So we'll get our USL might not be able to do it, but trust Prinks has our best interests in mind.
Yeah. Prinks Tires, a tire company I've never heard of, but hey, whatever. But yeah, the goal that the Kicker scored has felt like a goal that's been coming. Like I said before, we were hitting the wood, hitting the post. putting their goalkeeper under a bunch of pressure. And it felt like a goal that was deserved. Like, credit to Kirkland. I think O'Malley had the assist. Yeah, O'Malley had the assist. But it felt like a goal that's been coming. And I'm not gonna lie to you, and it's been a long time since I felt this way. I felt like the Kickers was going to score a second goal. Because the second half compared to the first half, it felt a little even. Like Portland would have the ball for a little bit, the Kickers would have the ball. The Portland would have the ball. But in the second half, it was like the ball was stuck on the other side. And it was like Portland, I don't know if it was just the inability for them or if they wanted to get the ball out, but it just felt as if Portland couldn't get the ball in. The Kickers were like, oh, we're going to pin you in and we're going to force turnovers and we're going to just keep taking shots and keep trying to get corners until we knock down this wall. And to be honest with you, I don't think that would have happened in the past.
Sometimes when you die by the Darren ball, you ultimately get to live by the Darren ball too.
Yeah.
They could sense it. They said, we've been this team before. You nick an early goal, sit back, hope for the best, try to absorb pressure. And especially if your best goal scorer is not in the teams, you do not have an outlet the way you typically would. Because, they were creating very little and all of their opportunities were very low quality.
Yeah, I mean, if you go I happened to go look at the stats for last night, right? And, like, this is again, we had 10 more shots than Portland, 5 more shots on target, almost double the amount of touches in the opponent's box, and it was just like, oh, like, huh. Like, it's, I mean, all credit. Like, if OB is like, look, we're not just going to just sit here and rely on the defense. We know how leaky the defense can be. We're going to just go attack. Like, guys, take shots, try to follow with the second ball, try to make some chaos happen, something. I'm like, okay. Like, if we're not saying lose a game, if we're going to draw a game, I can live with drawing a game like that. And not just dumb lucking our way into a goal. Like, we created a goal, we put them under pressure, we obviously outperformed them, and it felt good. It obviously takes points off of Portland. It always feels good. A team that we still have not beaten yet, which we got to fix that next year. We got to fix that. We can't have happen next year. So, all right. Any other things before we move on from this game that wrapped up that leaves us still bottom of the table? But
not true.
Okay, well, that is true. You're not bottom of the table, but a point from the bottom of the table leaves us in 16th place. Well, according to CBS, Matt, there's only 60 teams in USL League One, so in their eyes, we're at the bottom.
Yeah, we went through that rant last week. Old news.
Well, hey, next week is the Henny Derby, y'all. My favorite game, the game that I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm not looking forward to this game. But how you think this game's gonna play out?
I mean, better than the last time.
Okay, fair enough. I can live with that.
I mean, gee, can you imagine if it's worse than the last time?
Oh,
that was the one that pretty much shipped a few guys, not officially out, but into the shadow realm.
They didn't make their return to what, this week?
And that was only out of necessity.
Yeah.
Right? So, and we've seen this team's a little bit different at home. Like, they haven't figured out the away stuff yet, but they're starting to put it together at City Stadium. Have maybe a little bit more confidence. They've trained on the field. Like, I don't know what it is, but I'll take it for right now. So, am I going to be bold enough to pick a win? Nope. But I hope that this team can maybe relish a little bit in the role of being able to be a spoiler. Going forward, it's like, all right, we ain't getting the playoffs. Fine, we're tearing you down with us along the way. just think back to the last game of last season. This team is done and dusted. But what did they do? Madison, coming in, needing to win, to have a shot again. I can't remember if they would have won and gotten in, or if it worked out. They wouldn't have made it either way. Don't remember. Don't care. Boys actually turned up and they beat that ass. Pretty good. That was fun. So do I think it's going to be a 5-1? No. But do I think there's the possibility of them being able to ping a surprise 2-1, maybe get another draw out of there? Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Kate, what do you think? Well, you won't be there with us.
I'm not going to be there. I'm not going to be there. Yeah, I'm sorry.
Are you also going to Romania?
I'm going at least a little closer, just France. But
I didn't know we had this kind of money in the Rivercity United budget. Are you going on a scout?
Nowhere near as exotic as Romania.
Yeah. Here I was expecting she was going to be like, oh, no, I'm going to go visit my parents. Or
you knew I was going on this vacation, Matt. You're setting me up.
I completely forgot. I thought you said you were going there like next year or something.
This is the first I'm hearing about it. I didn't know you were going across the Atlantic.
Yeah, it's a family vacation, guys. It's a family vacation. We have a family get together in Ireland.
Family vacation are like the Great Wolf Lodge, or like,
Yeah, they got the new Kalahari up near Fredericksburg.
Well, yeah,
now.
this is the once every 2-3 years big trip. I tell people I don't have ambitions. Like, other people have ambitions and they put their money towards like their ambitions and their goals in life. And I don't have those. So I put mine towards travel.
I put mine towards traveling.
Because Mr. over here, he's got master's degree money.
I know the federal government does in the RPS school system, which, by the way, thank you, RPS.
Okay, little hint here. It's not that impressive to have a master's degree.
Yeah.
Knowing a lot of people who have them, it ain't that special.
I'm bravely coming out and saying I think it's impressive if someone has a master's degree.
You'll learn.
The reason why I'm doing this is for the paycheck.
You'll learn.
Yeah, the only reason why I'm doing this.
I know a good number of people with master's degree. I still think it's impressive.
All right, well then, be impressed by both of us then.
Yeah, the only reason why she's more impressed is because it's U of R. That's why. She's like, I got another spider in the Red Army.
Oh my gosh, yes. We're chipping away. We're chipping away. Me and Catherine and you.
And there we go. Okay.
Everyone else who went to U of R for undergrad or graduate or law school, come forward. For business school, come forward. We need to get our numbers up.
I mean, this show has really went off the rail. I mean, we're talking about massacre, whatever. But yeah, like the good thing that goes in the Kickers' favor about this, the last couple of results is like when Madison won, the Kickers had came back and won. So hopefully we can keep this momentum going. Like, hopefully we can keep it going, and hopefully we can spoil that team up north and keep the momentum going. By the way, also, what is it? Is it September 2nd or the Wednesday, September 2nd? We play Fort Wayne.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's going to be an interesting game as well. Just because of, like, I know playoffs is done for us, right? I know USL League One has to make it seem like every team is still in the playoffs. We know the playoffs are officially. We know that done. But it would say something that if Ombi can end this month with what? How many points? I'm trying to pull it up real quick. 4?
Well, we got 7 this month so far.
Yeah, 7 this month. If he can end the month with what? 8 points? Like, that's impressive. Like, that's not bad, right? Given where we were before. But, like, do you think like a month
Yes,
like
we had 12 before this month started.
That is also true. But like, do you feel as if like, okay, you and Matt are probably a better indicator of this, but like, how do you think the fan base is taking towards Ombi Ombi right now as things have gone.
I mean, it's hard to know outside of Red Army how much the larger context, like how on it, like other than the fact that he's a new coach who was an assistant coach. It's hard to know the general literacy around the narrative. I think in Section O, at least, he's endeared himself by not being actively hostile towards the supporters. That's always going to endear you a bit as in opposition to your predecessor. And obviously there's some great narrative there in terms of his history with the club, with this is a big promotion for him, and he's fighting for his own reputation as well as the club. So I think you can tell that he wants this to go well for reasons larger than just putting points on the board. And that's also going to endear you. But I think because things have been in stasis for so long, that there is going to have to be evidence that this isn't a second wave new manager bounce. Like, obviously we didn't get the original new manager bounce. We didn't pick up results right after he was appointed.
God, no, we didn't.
But if this is hopefully not just a flash in the pan of the new manager bounce that we're seeing now, once the team is kind of gelled around his ideas, that if this can be borne out over the rest of the season, that his being appointed to the head coach role is earned and will actually take the club forward and not just the easy way out for the ownership.
Yeah. Yeah, no. Matt, you got anything you want to add to it?
I mean, I think the not, losing and not getting housed at home part can only help.
Yeah.
Right. You can kind of ignore a little bit of what happens on, the road, especially if you're not, an absolute, lunatic who's listening to something like this. Right. It might be out of sight, out of mind sort of things, but you remember what it's like, going to the stadium. Oh, this is a fun one to go to, or well, this wasn't that great. That was boring. These guys suck. Or, there's been the last month has given us a lot more of, hey, this was a fun night out. This was, something cool to do. Sort of vibe. That sort of thing is valuable. It can help. Individual to individual. I don't know what people are thinking. I think there's going to be a contingent that is probably going to always be pro local guy, pro guy who came through the system, and there's probably going to be a contingent that's always going to be no matter what the evidence says, oh well, here's just the quote unquote easy choice, and they're always going to have those blinders on for him. So I think 10, 11 games left. They'll have to make a final call on this today in August. That's an October problem.
Right. Well, you want to look at the table right now. I mean, obviously the long form table has us bottom, but if you go based on the last 5 games, we are actually 9th. Like, if the playoffs were to start from the last 5 games, the Kickers will be tied for 8th. Tied for 4th. Us and Cosmos both set on 7 points, but the reason why they're in ahead of us is an extra 3 goals that can be attributed to Union Omaha. So, but outside of that, I mean, hey, the Kickers are doing well. They're improving. Not as quickly as we all want them to, but they are improving. Any last things from you, Kate, before we wrap up today's show?
No, I'm sad to be missing the Henny Derby. So, I hope it's a good one, but I hope it's not too iconic so that I don't have too much FOMO. I hope it's like routine. Like, I'm hoping.
No, I want it to be iconic. Iconic means we win. Routine means Madison win. Like, I've realized.
Like a routine, like we nick a goal in the first minute, like something where it's like sucks for you guys, but we win. And so I don't have to feel bad that I missed
it. That's not fun.
We got a team player here.
Right. That's never fun.
Be clear, I want us to win. I just don't want FOMO about it.
You're gonna be asleep during that. Whatever.
Right. You're gonna be in France. Go watch.
I'm still gonna have FOMO. Catherine, our good friend Catherine, missed the Henny Derby with the Chandler goal because she was on family vacation. And
what's the moral of the story here?
Never
Take a
go on
vacation's
family
better.
vacation during Henny Derby. But you know what? I might not have that problem. I'm getting ahead of it and saying you can experience FOMO even if you do not watch the match live. So I'm
You can
hoping.
watch the match live.
I'm
Just tell
hoping.
somebody
Yeah.
Wi-Fi. Get a VPN.
You don't even need a VPN. It's on YouTube if you're overseas.
Oh yeah, do that. There you go.
I know I physically could watch it live, but I could have FOMO even if I sleep through it. I could still have FOMO if it's iconic.
Yeah, you sleep through it. That's a you problem.
Everybody, leave us a comment for your favorite reason why you should, you really feel bad for Kate about missing the upcoming match.
Let us know.
I'm not saying feel bad for me. I'm speaking my truth. You asked me what I was hoping for, and that's what I hope for. I hope we win, but it is not pleasant.
I hope
I also find this hilarious because if you were at the game on Saturday and you experienced any of the Kate McCarthy experience, she looked like she wanted to die for about the last 40 minutes of that game. Like I've never seen her look that stressed, uncomfortable, period. And now she's hoping everybody else has a miserable time, but we win.
I'm a hypocrite. I am a hypocrite. I am interested only in myself.
You do look far more comfortable right now. So I'm glad you've recovered.
Right.
I told you all my negative emotions were going to vanish as soon as the final whistle blew and the result was sealed. But my God, is it horrible?
I was legitimately worried that you were like going to pass out or something. You looked that physically in pain and uncomfortable.
Luckily, high noons make terrible seltzers, so that was keeping me alive. It was so gross that it was keeping me alive.
Yeah, I really appreciated the one moment where you literally turn around, face me directly. I don't feel good. I'm like, cool.
I didn't.
Yeah, like that's a great thing to say.
I didn't feel good. Nothing was going to happen, but I was just expressing my emotions.
I don't know that in that moment. as you're holding your,
I'm a grown adult. Don't worry.
Matt went from like, oh, I'm enjoying the game to like, do I need to call 911? Like, what's going on here?
Honestly, if it could have gotten the match stopped, and then we would have, but it was past the point where it needed to be replayed. Maybe that could have helped.
Okay.
Sure.
Someday we'll have to try that. We're gonna have to try that. Stage an emergency.
Please
to get
don't.
The game called off, but the result has to stand.
So the other thing I really enjoyed about the game that I want to draw some light to front office having alumni night.
Yes.
Good dozen or so guys. Some of the usual suspects you'd expect. Obviously Rob's showing up out there. Ronnie's there. Like Nathan Alney, we know he's in town all the time. But then there are some surprise like Amos, coming back.
I'm not gonna lie, I was shocked to see Amos out there.
Yeah.
I was like, oh snap!
I mean, they did him dirty standing him next to Alney. But
that wasn't fair. But it was good to see Amos back. I'm happy for him.
Like Kevin Jeffrey, I haven't seen that guy in probably close to 20 years.
No, I think the last time I saw him was when we did the tribute to Buelow. That's the last time I saw him. Yeah, that was the last. I remember seeing him there.
But yeah, he was. If you're not familiar with him, he was kind of our star striker between Rob and Deli. So like 2001, 2005, and I don't think we've had a guy like him since then because he was a fast striker. He was consistently leading at that time the A League. In goals. Really dynamic player. I think he might have gotten a cap or two for Trinidad. Somewhere along the way. So that was really cool. For me seeing him back. A couple of the I guess no other way to put it, old timers from the Open Cup team there. So really hope they can continue to be able to do these things and work on having it kind of be a regular thing where the alums are coming back and celebrating your history. I know they're listening to this. Still need to get those banners up there for all the different championships that we've won over time. If you want to talk up our history, awesome, on board with that. Make sure it's painfully obvious to anybody in the stadium. Like there ain't nothing on those stands, the temporary stands on the, what would that be, the south end?
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
create some crappy, homemade banners that just, we got some spray paint experts. Spray paint, 1995 Open Cup champions, 2022 regular season champions, 2006, regular season and league champions,
Hey,
all
you can
that
go ahead
stuff.
and cover up those handprints. The
Well,
murder scene.
that's pretty small.
Murder
Banners need to be bigger than that, but also yes.
Yeah, we can cover those.
And also, we own our stadium, so it should be permanent. These other teams that can't even do that kind of stuff. You have to flex all the ways that you're able to flex your history because you also own it too.
Right. I mean, another thing we could talk about, I know it's been, I don't know if you guys saw it or read it, but once again, the discussion came about like, oh, the Kickers need to get a soccer-specific stadium. And I'm like, I'm tired of this conversation. Like, we're not having this conversation. We're not doing this again. But yeah, man, it's always good when you get to celebrate those guys that have come back to the club. I'm glad like Ani, Amaz, and whatnot are getting their flowers because they're more recent kickers and whatnot, especially Ani. Like, if there's anyone who has really embraced the city of Richmond, like became like a transplant of the city, it's Ani. Like, I think he's playing the CBSA on the Premier team as like a striker and whatnot. Like, he is really entrenched himself in the city. Like, it's almost like Luke Pavone levels where you just look at the section and be like, oh, Ani's here.
Like old but not completely old Bolduc. And
oh yeah,
he was still around.
Yeah,
and now he's back on the team.
Right. So you can't be having beers with us anymore until after the year, until after the season. But anything else from you guys before we wrap up today's show? Okay, I know you got to start packing. You got to get ready for your big. Matt, I know I will see you on Saturday with the Henny Derby with a shot in hand. It's going to be a fun one.
The Wednesday season ticket holder event.
Oh yeah. I won't be there, but everyone else, please have fun.
Yeah, see you guys there. Don't forget, put it on your calendars.
Yes, maybe we can get Kate to do some vlogging for us. We can put it up on the YouTube channels. Maybe, who knows? Yeah, Kate, that's your job. Since we
got another video coming.
Oh, that is true.
We got a different video coming.
That is true.
That's a tease. We'll leave you all with. There's a video coming. Watch this space.
Yeah, there you go. But for all of us here at Rivercity 93, we just want to say thank you guys for taking the time of your day for listening to our show. Because without you, we wouldn't do this. We wouldn't be able to do this. So thank you. If you want to support us, you can do so at rivercity93.com/donate or go to ko-fi.com at Rivercity93. I should probably start saying that in the beginning of the show. I always forget to do it, but whatever. The vibes are good. The team is looking better. Slowly but surely, they are starting to come back to the Kickers that we all fell in love with at one point. The club is starting to find their way, and that's all we can hope for. So next time after the Henny Derby, Labor Day weekend, we hopefully will be talking about a good win. Hopefully, because I promised the players that if they win the Derby, I'll buy the team a bottle of Hennessy. Not individual bottles, just one bottle. Yeah, hopefully so. So all that being said, be easy and be safe, y'all. We'll holler at you guys next time.